Okay, so for our next step, we want to define who our audience will be. So for your plan, you have already looked at your company and you've done a bunch of research, and through your research, you found the stakeholders. We've also defined publics. And so for this step, you're going to decide who's the audience. So who's going to be the audience of the tactics you write for your plan. And to do this, you're going to need to answer a bunch of questions. First, you're going to have to decide what's going to make the most sense for me. When I write my tactic, for instance, when you write your press release, who do you want to speak to? Would it be someone who's internally involved with the company? So are you going to write this to your employees? Do you want to write it to your vendors? Is this something where you want to perhaps persuade the government to shift policy to do something with your organization? Or do you want to talk directly to one of your publics about how great your organization is and sway public opinion about it? And so to do that, you're going to answer a bunch of questions, and you'll see these listed under the portfolio project, and you'll see them here. There's a whole list of them. So the first thing that you want to do is define their demographics. So for their demographics, check out their age range. And this, you want to keep that within 10 years, like 10 years maximum. 5 years would be even better, because the way that people, their behavior changes over time, right? And so someone's behavior when they're 18 is significantly different than what it is when they're 28. And this often carries through as we get older in life, although this 10-year discrepancy does minimize a little bit. So the difference between an 18-year-old and a 28-year-old is much different in terms of their communication patterns versus someone who's 68 to 78. They're probably much more similar than these two age ranges here. And then you'll figure out which gender preference they have, and this could matter and it might not, but as much as you can, I implore you to write this down. So to identify these key demographics will help you to develop the language you'll use within your tactics. So I've written a little note here about manufacturing only has about 30% of the workforce is female, identifies as a woman. So that's a pretty particular niche to reach in terms of audience and tactics. So it's useful information to us. Also, their occupation, income, relationship status. Are they married? Are they single? Somewhere in between. Education will matter. Location, exactly where are they located and how many children they have. And then you'll go down, and this is, rather than demographic information, this is more behavioral and value oriented information. So what are their values? What do they care about? What challenges do they face, etc. So I've taken these questions and I've provided an example below for you to use when you draft your own. And again, we're using the example of the Chautauqua County Humane Society. And I've identified this as a public. So it's not a stakeholder. This is a public. And so the age range is 48 to 58. These are women. They're employed full-time in various industries, income of $75,000 or more. They could be married or divorced. They're college educated. They live in Chautauqua County. They have grown children and are empty nesters. This is important because when people have children, they spend differently than they do. They spend their time and their resources differently than they do if they don't have children. What do they value? They value nice things, being accepted by their community. They value each other. These women want to see other women succeed. They are nurturing and supportive. You might be going, where did you get this information from? It was actually, I did a little bit of research. So I came over to my friend Google and I said, oh, you'll see all of my lists here, right? So I said, and my list kind of stopped here. So I'm going to rewrite it in here. So what do women over 50 value? And then, excuse me, so then I went through a bunch of different articles and found some of the things that women over 50 value. This exploratory research is actually really helpful. And we want to stick to things like the Pew Research Center, where we can say that's information that is based on fact and on empirical studies. But after I did that, I found that they value having nice things, being accepted by their community. They value each other. They want to see women succeed. They're nurturing and supportive. What do they care about? In a similar vein, I did the same thing with Google, found some research to support that they care about people doing the right thing. They want to be role models for their grown children. They can do it on their own. So this is an interesting thing to note in terms of this audience, not audience analysis, this audience draft. This means that this group of women can solve problems and has no issue with hard works. What challenges them? They're getting older and their voices don't carry the weight they used to within media. They face ageism and discrimination. There's hormonal changes that can impact both mental and physical health. Their goals are good health, savings, and stability. So some pain points. A big one for them is not having enough money to maintain stability and support for their family. What channels are they on? So they communicate through face-to-face interactions, email, phone calls, texting, PMing. How do they consume their news? They go directly to news websites, email, television, scrolling through social channels and local newspapers. What social networks are they on? Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube. And why would they support your organization? This was kind of like the moment of, so I found all this information about this particular group of women. So then you think to yourself, like, what is the angle? Like, how do we communicate directly with this person? You can sort of hear their voice shaping as we identify who they are. So I write, they would support the Humane Society because it's helpful to their mental health. According to a recent article published by the NIH.gov website, The Power of Pets, interacting with animals has been shown to decrease levels of cortisol, a stress-related hormone, and other lower blood pressure. Other studies have found that animals can reduce loneliness, increase feelings of social support, and boost your moods. That's, oh no. I've just clicked onto that and it's gotten into this little edit mode. Okay, oops. So that's a good angle for what we may want to talk about with this group. And why wouldn't they support the organization? They would not support the organization if we cease to continue to provide meaningful lives to abandoned animals. They will no longer believe in us. Okay, so now that we've identified the audience, have some potential for some content going forward, we want to post that to our website. So I'm going to go over here. This looks a little bit different than the last time we did this because I added this content block right here. I've put in a little title and added a cute little photo. Just felt a little empty to me. The next thing that we're going to want to do is go to pages. Again, we want to, my face is in the way here. We want to add a new page, and I think it's, there it is. Oh, no, I was right on it. Okay, so this one we're going to call Defined Audience or Audience Defined. And again, we can create that custom path. So I'm just going to call it Audience. Done. Here we go. We can, again, we can change the color of this so it stands out a little bit more. I would like to insert I'm going to move you down again. I'm going to insert a content block. I have a photo ready to go. Hopefully, I think I do. Here we go. This is my audience member right here. And who is my audience? I'm just going to copy that defined audience that we just looked over here. And I'm going to paste it in here. So yours is probably not hosted right there in Brightspace, but mine is. So that was easy enough to grab. And then you're going to talk about, what can I name this person? So I'm going to say she looks like Cheryl to me. Cheryl Smith, 58. Oh, my age range was 50. I'm going to make Cheryl a little bit younger. 50, 55, Cheryl, you're looking good. Okay, so that's it. That's this step. Once you've got that, we're going to go ahead and click on publish. I'm going to review the change like we have before. Oh, yep, I forgot I changed the cover here. So we're going to go ahead and publish that. And then I want to preview it. And this is what it looks like. Looks pretty good. Starting to look really good. Okay, so this is what the homepage looks like. That's my defined audience, the project overview. You know what, I'm seeing that I don't like this here. I'd rather this behind company research now that I'm looking at it. So I don't want this button here. I want to move that. So I'm going to jump over again, I think. Oh, I'm in my way. Close you out. Okay. So I'm going to go over here to pages, and I can just rearrange this by clicking and dragging defined audience below the others. And just so you know, you can also make a hierarchy. So if I put company research here and dropped it in, it would actually become a drop-down menu. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make that a top tier selection by doing this. I think it's not going to let me do it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Publish that again, and we'll be done. That's it. Easy peasy. All right, my friends.